We're here. We're queer. Let's do it. You may hear my son, because I can hear him right now. There are some times when I'll be like, ooh, I can only hear that in the headphones. And then later I'm editing and I 100% hear it in the audio. So you're going to hear it, especially if you have your headphones and or audio turned up. My son is in his room. My son is in our room nearby where there's a PlayStation 4. He's on the phone with his cousin, speaking with his cousin over the phone as they play Fortnite together. He's got a very high-pitched voice, so I can hear him. My guess is you're going to hear him. You know what's one thing I was thinking about? I struggle, right? I think I can't imagine I'm the only one. My alarm goes off in the morning. I know that I got enough, whether I did or didn't. If I didn't get enough of sleep, I'll say, I fucking hate myself. I hate my life. I don't want to get up. If I did get enough sleep, I'll say, I hate myself. I hate my life. I don't want to get up. I absolutely hate the idea of getting up. I don't want to get up. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to get out of bed. Before the car accident that I got in, I was working out every day. I took 7 days off of working out after the car accident to allow myself to recover. Most amount of time I've taken from working out in years, the longest I can remember. So I take this small amount of time off. My son's so loud. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's like there's kids. It's like they're right there. It's like they're playing the game right there, screaming at each other. But I struggled, all right? Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm burnt out. Sometimes I don't want to work out. Sometimes I don't want to get ready. Sometimes I don't want to take my shower. Sometimes I don't want to shave my face. And then I go out, and day after day after day, I see this man, and I have a very small picture. I probably won't put the picture in, and the picture's not very good. But I did try to snap a photo of him one day. Day after day, I see this man. He's carrying a sign. It would be what we would consider sandwich board guy. You remember a long time ago, as an example, during the fucking Die Hard trilogy, like the third Die Hard movie, Bruce Willis, I think, is required to put on a sandwich board and to go out, and it says something racial on it. I forget what it is. But on like Die Hard with a Vengeance, Bruce Willis is required to go out in the streets and put on some sandwich board, I believe. Haven't seen the movie in years, but I'm almost certain that he puts on some sandwich board. This guy that I'm referring to, he's basically a sandwich board guy, right? He goes out with a sign every day. I'm certain, I shouldn't say, I'm lying. I can't imagine somebody's paying this individual, right? Who pays sandwich board guy? Who pays the guy that goes out and stands on the corner? To give you an example, the sign that he holds is a circle. It's a picture of the world, and it says the world is flat. So every day, day after day, I mean day after fucking day. I mean, it was weeks of me seeing this before I decided to talk about it. So let's say even just 14 days. Say I only saw him for the beginning and the end of this escapade that he's began. There's a man that's out there for 14 days, day after day, with a circle sign that says the world is flat, that stands on the side of the road every day. He spins it, he shows it, he dances, he waves his arms. I can barely get myself out of fucking bed some days. I can barely groggily get through my workout. Sandwich board guy, as far as I know, doesn't get paid. And he shows up every day. How? Why? What the fuck? I know my son's insanely loud. I guess I want to tell him to shut the fuck up, but at the same time, it's like, I prefer my son's happiness over the audio quality of the audio quality of this episode, I guess. Damn, that sucks, right? That's real. That's real. That's real. I'd rather him happily shout at his cousin over the phone as he plays Minecraft than have good audio quality for this episode. I think you just get it, right? Like if how many people work like in a cubicle? How many people work with like many people beside them? It's like there's just somebody kind of chatting in the background all the time. That's this episode. This episode, there's somebody chatting in the background. It's my son, and he's talking to his cousin. And I don't know what to do about it. I just think that, like, unless George Soros, like there's a U, unless George Soros is fucking paying this man, unless somebody is financing this individual, how does Sandwich Board Guy get out of bed every day? How does he go to the corner with his sign? How does he get dressed, do his shower, get ready, go to the corner with his sign and spin his sign all day? If nobody's paying you, you're getting nothing. Your only thing is occasionally somebody honks at you. Like, you know what I mean? He's not even like the guys. I've seen guys in my area. I'm not sure if it's some new version of panhandling, but they wear white suits. 2 men, white suits, coffee cans covered in white paper. They go up and down the aisles. Every time the cars stop at the intersection, very busy intersections, I've seen it from one town to 25 miles away in a different town. I've seen the same 2 men at different intersections at a 25, 30 mile radius. Every time the car stops, the intersection is full. They go up and down the windows in their white suits. So maybe this is a new business. Maybe this is a new way to make money. Sandwich Board Guy doesn't get any money. Nobody comes by and hands him cash. These guys hold coffee cans. Their coffee cans are covered in white paper to match their shitty white Goodwill suits. They have Goodwill suits on that are white. They look like they're Sandwich Board Guy doesn't get any money. So they work the corner all day and they make at least some. I see people constantly putting their hands into these coffee cans. They're making something. Something is happening in those interactions. Sandwich Board Guy doesn't get any money. He spins his sign that says the world is flat. People honk occasionally. What the fuck motivates that guy? What motivates Sandwich Board Guy? What keeps Sandwich Board Guy on the corner? What keeps him? How did he make the fucking world is flat sign in the first place? It would cost money to do that. Like, I've worked at hotels before. I've managed hotels before. The marketing dollars that you would have to spend to create a sign like that would not be nothing. I bet he spent hundreds of dollars. 100% he spent over $100. Guaranteed the sign that he waves, the circle earth sign that says the world is flat, is worth over $100. I guarantee it. Unless he made it himself, but maybe he would have had to work for like a pressing, you know what I mean? No, unlikely. If he did, he snuck that shit and he worked at a sign place. But now he doesn't. If I see him every day and I see him all throughout the day, he doesn't work there anymore. He doesn't put in hours at least. He's on the corner. He's on the corner telling everybody the world is flat. What motivates that guy? Why can I struggle to get through my Dude, I talked about it last episode and I said I was going to talk about it more this episode. I got in a car accident. I got in a second car accident. The second car accident was much more severe. I almost think that I'm so lucky that I've worked out for so long that my body literally built some tiny shield, almost like an insect has an exoskeleton. I feel like I have this shield around my body that allow me to protect myself and not feel the impact. Like, I bet if I really got an MRI, they'd tell me that I had ligaments that were fucked up and I have muscles that's fucked up and all this kind of shit. But the way I feel compared to what happened to me is fucking incredible. I'm so goddamn lucky. And now I don't remember why I'm talking about that. I don't know why I'm talking about that. I don't know why it matters. I was talking about a Sandwich Board Guy, and I'm talking about how lucky I am to be in an accident. Or excuse me, to after I got in the accident, for it to go as well as it did. Well, so to speak, in the sense that, like, dude, I have my legs. That time that I fucking got hurt and I broke my heel, man, I couldn't walk. Getting in the shower was hard. Dude, I hurt my shoulder, and the arm that it affected was my non-dominant arm. It didn't hurt my spine at all. So my shoulder and my non-dominant arm were fucked up. Like, could you be any more lucky? I can walk. I can see. I can hear. I can taste. I have everything. I have all the things I could possibly need. My shoulder is fucked. It may be fucked for the rest of my life. My arm, my ability to move my arm may be fucked for the rest of my life, but it's healing really fast. And I feel like that only could have happened because of the way I treated myself. I feel like that only could have happened because I was taking such great care of myself and building this armor around myself, so to speak. Yeah, I just, even flower guy, right? Like, you'll see flower guy on the side of the road, right? I've seen that a lot lately, and it's not even like fake flower guy. Like, I used to see fake flower guy a lot, where he'd have like, plastic wrapped around fake roses, and he's on the counter, and he's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's $1, $2. You spend $2 on the fake rose wrapped in plastic. You take it home to your wife or your significant other. I know people are like, I hate that. I hate partner. I hate significant other. You take it home to your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it is, and then you know what I mean? Without doing any effort, really, you've brought them something that seems thoughtful, and it seems like you're thinking about them, but really you are sitting in traffic on your shitty commute, just waiting to go home, and it seems like you're a thoughtful individual. So, plastic, flower guy, understand, right? It's like he can keep those forever. As long as you can afford to have the inventory, as long as you sell it, eventually you're fine. Fresh flower guy, to be honest, in a lot of towns recently, I've seen fresh flower guy, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about. They must go to like some nursery or go to some wholesale flower place, and they buy a great deal of fresh, beautiful flowers. Then they create dozens of bouquets, dozens of beautiful fresh bouquets, and same deal. They're on the side of the road. They're selling these fresh, beautiful bouquets. You assume that if they're going to stand there all day and they're going to give you the fresh, beautiful bouquet, they've been able to factor in all of the money they spent on the flowers, the time it took to create the bouquets, and the time it took to sell you the bouquets, and they're still going to turn a profit. They're going to make money. Sandwich board guy makes no fucking money. What the fuck is his motivation? How does sandwich board guy live? I hope to God I can be. I don't know how to put clips in. I don't know how to put shit in. I haven't figured that out yet. I bet it's insanely easy. I bet it's much easier than I realize, but I don't know how to do it. I have a picture of sandwich board guy. I hope to God I can put it in there. World is flat on the side of the road, but he doesn't get money. He doesn't turn a profit. I don't understand how it can be lucrative, or how he can do this day after day, or what motivates him to come back over and over again. Anybody, if you are sandwich board guy, if you know sandwich board guy, if you've seen sandwich board guy, tell me what the fuck, what motivates them to come back every day? How the fuck do they afford to stand on a corner every day? They're putting in the same hours that I'm putting in a normal job, and they're standing on a corner with a sign and nobody's handing them money. I don't get it. You know, it's something that the fucking relates in some way or another, which is funny. So I talked about how my son is making noise in the background because he's got his cousin on the phone and they're playing video games. So there's this other kid, right? I've talked about it in past episodes, but if you don't know, my son did swimming lessons. At swimming lessons, he was able to make a friend. This friend gave him, they exchanged phone numbers. So very frequently now recently, my son and this individual that he met at swimming lessons will be talking on the phone and playing video games together. I am in the house, so sometimes I hear how the conversations are going. So like I realized my son, and if I had to take blame for this, if anybody was like, do you need to take blame for this? I would 100% take blame for it, because my son, like the other kid will be like, hey, how are you? And he'll be like, good. And then he just talks about whatever he wants to talk about. So I will be perfectly honest, and even my barber, she's not a barber. She doesn't have the ability to work on faces. Even my stylist that has worked on my hair since I was 6 years old, so over 26 years. The woman that has done my hair for over 26 years even said, she's like, you're not good at small talk. I just don't do it. I think it's bullshit. I think it's ridiculous. I don't participate in it. I don't need to, hey, how are you? Oh, you're good. You know what I mean? Like, it's all bullshit. We're wasting our time. Nobody gives a fuck. You're just waiting for that sentence to be over so you can actually have a real conversation. We all know that. I don't waste my time with small talk. I realize my son is not aware that small talk is like required. I've taken him to fast food restaurants, and clearly he's been in fast food and like restaurants and stuff with his mother, because he's blows me away how polite he is. I can't believe how polite he is, and I can't believe how well behaved he is. And I'm like, that's not from me. That's from his mother, because we don't go to fast food. You know what I mean? Like, I talked about fast food at the beginning of this, and it's just because I so happen to have enjoyed too much over you know what I mean? I've been a glutton here recently, so that's why I had to share it. Is the McDonald's chicken sandwich where they put the fucking McDonald's Big Mac sauce on it is the best shit. Maybe, and I haven't had it in a long time, maybe Chick-fil-A's original spicy chicken sandwich compares. But I don't know how you beat that Big Mac sauce. Even if McDonald's chicken sandwich is inferior, that Big Mac sauce is so many points. You're winning. That's it's. I wish I didn't eat it enough to know, but it's the truth. So I often don't go to fast food. My son does not go to fast food with me. So when I go and I see his behavior at those places, I'm like, that is not for me. That is not. However, I watch him with his friends, right? I watch him with this kid that he met in swim lessons. And so like I have to talk to him. I'm like, dude, when the kid says like, hey, how are you? And you just said good. I was like, even if you don't care, even if you don't want to find out, I was like, well, you should ask him how he is. Like, ask him how he's doing. Like, if he says, hey, how are you doing? Ask him how he's doing. And I'm like, I know you don't care. I was like, maybe you don't care. I know I don't care, but you have to ask. And it's so stupid. So then I'm starting to think to myself, like, I don't implement it in my own life. I don't act that way myself. I have not given him that example. I am giving my son the example of something that I personally don't or ever do. Is that the right thing? Like, yes, our fake bullshit interactions with each other a lot of the time when we're in person, which is so rare nowadays since so many things are digital. As an example, he's talking to somebody over the phone. Even that, I guess, is what I'm referring to. But like, is it right for me to make him do fake shit just because that's what we do? Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have the need or desire to ask that kid how he is because he doesn't give a fuck. And I know that sounds selfish and ridiculous, but that other kid only knows to say, hey, how are you? Because he's heard so many other people do it. I only know to do it because I've heard so many other people do it. I actually had a boss one time at one of my first hotel jobs that was like, hey, I know you don't care, but you have to ask. And I was like, wow, she's the first person that put it into words. Like, she's right. I don't give a fuck. Like, they're just saying, hey, how are you? And she's like, I had to teach myself. I had to teach myself to fucking say, when somebody says, hey, how are you? That I say, good, how are you? It's weird. I feel like the people that are best at that are definitely Hispanic or Latino people. I know that sounds stupid, but it's because that E2, right? Like their native language is so like bien E2. You know what I mean? Like if they're asked how they are, you just follow up with how you are with how are you? You know what I mean? So like that's the only thing that I would say, which was again another boss later at other hotels where he was like, so he was Puerto Rican and he was just so consistent about like E2. Really, he would say to me, and you? And you, but then, you know, I'd hear him with it's itu, you know, it's and you, like, and you, it's just a part of the culture. And so it's like, I wonder sometimes, is it right for me to teach him that? Even if I know it doesn't come from my heart, even if I know it's some trained habit, like that's not something that I feel. I have had to train myself the habit of saying, and you? And how about you? You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I'm not waiting to hear how you are. And I know I'm an asshole, but my point in saying that is, curious to see, like, did you teach your children those? Like, they're just being polite, right? It's just the ways to be polite, the way to have manners. But in a lot of ways, it's kind of a front. It's kind of a false bullshit, right? Just interesting. I don't know. One of those things that I've noticed. I'm curious to see what you guys have done or what you think. One of those things that I thought was crazy, and I've talked about it here recently, I am concerned that maybe with that accident when I slammed into the windshield, because like it's weird, in my heart, I feel like I hit the car and then the airbags went off. And I've been in multiple accidents now, and I don't mean the two that have happened here recently, but the two more severe ones. So years and years and years ago, I rolled off the side of a country road into a creek, and my truck did 1.5 rolls. So like it rolled a full time, and then it rolled halfway, and I was underwater in the creek, and I had to get myself out of my belt and come out. This time, the same thing happened. Everything slows down. It's insane. It feels like it's happening in slow motion, but right before the accident happened, it felt like it was happening in slow motion. And I mean, ultimately, I remember for sure, like I was decelerating. I started slamming on my brakes because I couldn't believe that the other car was about to hit me. I was like, why? Like, I was certain that I had the green. I knew 100% in my mind. I was like, I had a green light. It was only later that the cop implied, he informed me by implying, he said a surveillance camera at the nearby bank showed that the other driver should have had 3 to 4 more seconds of a green, which implies that I would have had the red at the time. But I was so goddamn certain. I'm still, if that's another thing I think is worth saying, because I've even said it in other. It's rare that I've met as cool of individuals, let alone as cool of cops. Hands down, these 2 men that I met that dealt with the accident were the coolest fucking cops I've ever met in my life. Over that, they were like cool people. Like I felt a comfort that I shouldn't feel with police officers, that I shouldn't feel after getting T-boned in my vehicle at an intersection. I know I've said before that there is negative interactions that I've had with police officers, and I know I've said before in negative interactions that like my family and friends have had with police officers. I have got to say 100%, and these are the ones that don't make the fucking stories. These 2 men, there was many officers on the scene, but I only dealt with 2, and they were the coolest fucking people that I've dealt with. They were so fucking nice. They were insanely nice. So I just got to say, anything I've ever said about police, these 2 men made that, put that, they would have made anything that I had said previously in a negative light look like absolutely falsehood, just absolute bullshit. They were the nicest men. When I hit, whether it slowed down and my take on it was correct, it felt like I hit the windshield. I hit that section in between your window and your windshield. It felt like I hit that, and then the airbags came off. For certain, the curtain airbag went off. The airbag came out of my steering wheel. You don't realize that whatever kicks those out smells so much like smoke. Like, so it just smells like fire. It just smells like fire, and there's smoke in the car. You don't realize that whatever causes those to ignite and causes those to come forward towards you is like some sort of fire reaction. So you have just this smell of smoke, and I'm certain, regardless of what order, that spider web in the windshield in my face. There was a spider web right in the windshield, right where I would have looked. I'm certain that was from my head. I know my head hit that windshield. When I was talking with the paramedic, I tried to think like maybe I don't know. I guess I was I was like, maybe my pain is from the seatbelt, and somehow but what else would hit the windshield? You know what I mean? I can't even theorize at this point what else would hit the windshield aside from me, aside from my body, and right in my face, my head. So I'm almost certain I experienced some sort of brain damage. And I got to think that these cold showers that I'm taking, and this opportunity to reduce inflammation, and the turmeric that I take, and the fucking quercetin that I take, and all these things that I take that reduce inflammation, and my diet where I take almost no breads, no sugars. I shouldn't say no because I give in, but it seems like it's helping. It seems like there's something worthwhile in doing that. And I saw that story about Demaryius Thomas. So Demaryius Thomas was once a Denver Bronco. I believe he was like 32 when he died. I don't know exactly how old he was when he died. I'm 32 right now. And they said that he had, I think he had CTE, or he had concussions, or he had, he had CTE. I believe if I read correctly, he had CTE. And it's just one of those things where you think like, man, he was so young. He was so young, and only because he died do we know. You know what I mean? Otherwise, he would have probably played for another 10 years. Granted, wide receivers don't always get into their 40s. Like, that would be a pretty amazing career, but Demaryius Thomas was a pretty amazing wide receiver. So, I'd like to think I got a concussion, and that sucks, man. And I really hope I can keep it under wraps. And I said it on the other episode, but you think about like people like Roseanne that got like in an accident. She got hit by a truck, I think. But then she had and then there's somebody else that like got hit, and they were, constantly compulsive, and were never the same after that. And so I worry about that, man. I worry about that for myself. I think I'm going to be okay, but I certainly worry about that. And then you think about like somebody my age, like Demaryius Thomas. Granted, he played pro football, but he's only 32. So, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he probably played since Pee Wee, but I mean, I played Pee Wee football as well. You know what I mean? My head banged against a million different other helmets. Not as many as Demaryius Thomas, but my point is maybe slamming my head into this windshield as my car got T-boned by another car. Maybe it could be similar to the interactions that he experienced in the NFL. Maybe even though I'm 32 years old, maybe now I'm going to have something that you know what, man, like I don't know, I doubt he's listening, and I wish he was, and I don't know why I say that, but like my dad got hit in the head years ago, and I don't know if he's ever been the same. He uses what it felt like an excuse for years, but it's like, you wonder if it is. He got hit with an I-beam, a gigantic, basically the fucking steel beam that supports your entire goddamn house. He got hit with one of those in the fucking head. And his diet is nothing but bread and sugar, so it's nothing but inflammation. His diet is 100% inflammation causing. Little Debbie is basically his wife. Little Debbie is his mistress, would be a better way to put it, huh? Little Debbie is definitely my father's mistress. All right, man. Hopefully I'll have something more exciting to talk about aside from CTE, aside from DT. I can't imagine I'm done talking about the car crash. I wish my son wasn't screaming in the background. But all right, I'll be right back. I'm back. I had no intention of talking about any of this, but right as I decided to turn the camera back on and come back with you, my first thought was, before I got in the first accident, and I'll just say the two accidents were totally different. They were insanely different, and I after years and years and years of driving and not even experiencing a single fender bender, a single dent, a single accident, a single anything, it's crazy that I was able to experience two within 11 days. thing that I thought that was the craziest is like even after the first one is like you know what's something so stupid is like I on a constant basis like throughout the day, because I've realized like I put moisturizer on my neck, right? Because after I shave and stuff, sometimes I get these dumb little red bumps, well, razor burn. Sometimes I get razor burn on my neck. And not to mention, it just seems like it's better for us to moisturize ourselves. So sometimes I'll have this like dried moisturizer will fall down on my shirt right here, right? And I wear black shirts a lot. So like oftentimes I'll have this like little black dots. So, or excuse me, little white dots on my black shirt. So like I'll do this often. Like a lot of times, like before I like go meet with somebody, I'm just like knocking off my shirt just to make sure that it doesn't have any of these stupid little marks on it. And one thing that I thought, I know it sounds dumb, it wouldn't have mattered how many times I did that day when I got in the first accident. The accident still happened. You know what I mean? Like nothing would have changed. It didn't matter how clean my shirt was. It didn't matter how great my hair looked. It didn't matter how clean I was. I still got in the accident. It made no difference. The second one, to be honest, I thought it was going to be years. I thought I was going to spend years physically rehabilitating from this. I'm concerned to say, because I don't want to jump the gun, but I may be fortunate enough that I can get through this without having to go through surgery or anything like that. Again, if I got an MRI and I actually went to a doctor, it could be much different. But just the fact that the mobility that I have based on the accident that I went through is amazing for me. It's unheard of. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to have the strength and mobility that I have in my left arm after the accident that I experienced. So I know I'm insanely lucky. So it's just like, it seems like so many of the things that I was focusing on, if it really came down to it, don't fucking matter at all. Like, if I get in an accident, it doesn't matter how clean my clothes are. It doesn't matter how clean I am. It doesn't matter how good my hair looks. It doesn't matter how moisturized my skin is. It doesn't fucking, none of it matters. What matters is that I hit somebody else's car and I fucked up. I made a mistake that has now changed somebody else's life and somebody else's trajectory and somebody else's future and somebody else's experience. And none of the other stuff that like I spent so much time focusing on every day, not only does it not matter, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And I just wonder, like, every day, man, every day I focus on so many things that I wonder if they matter at all. And like you get in these accidents and like you see these things where it's like it's possible I couldn't have walked after that. It's possible I wouldn't have been able to use my arms. You know what I mean? Like I said, I was fortunate enough that it was my non-dominant arm. What if it was my dominant arm? What if it was more severe? All that is just by happenstance. It's all by happenstance that I'm okay. It's all by like luck and fortune that I'm fucking able to walk and get in my shower and fucking lift my leg. It's all by happenstance. And so many of the things, almost none of the things that I was focusing on in my life make any difference. I guess I just like, sometimes I wonder how much of the things that we're doing every day all the time really matter in our existence. Like, I don't know, the first thing I think of is like that line in Fight Club when he's like, you know, a duvet cover. He's like, how much does that really matter in the sense of survival? Or you know, it's not even close to the quote of what's said, but the idea is like, how much does that blanket that you throw over the end of a chair, how much does it really impact your ability to survive in this world? And it's like, it's literally it's non-existent. It doesn't have any impact whatsoever. It's a waste of your energy. And it's like, In the moments you get in these car accidents, in the moments you see these things, in the moments you're impacted in a way where your shoulder starts to turn fucking jaundice yellow, it's like so many of the things I was focusing my life on literally, if it came down to it, mean nothing. Thinking about the other thing we talked about, I guess it's like I'm lucky my son doesn't like football, right? Like I'm lucky he doesn't want to fucking, like Demaryius Thomas play football and get CTE really fast right now. You know what I mean? Like what I just did with my mouth, it was so far from what I mean that when I'm doing the transcript, it's going to be a disaster. The things that they think I say when I mumble as if I have a concussion is fucking... I just hope for myself, and as I think about it for you listening, I hope that when you think back, the retrospect of your life, of course, is a lot to consider. But even if you're just able to think back on what you spend each day, I hope that if you think about, and I think we rarely do, if this is what rehabilitated me, if this is what took me out of the world, is the things that I focused on today. And it's so... even just as I'm saying it, it's so cliche that people will just, they don't care. You're just going to keep doing the dishes. You're just going to keep running. You're just going to keep fucking doing the laundry. You're just going to keep shaving your face. You know what I mean? You won't change your life. You don't, me neither, man. I didn't change my life. Even the first accident, oh man. I swear to God, the way I acted about the first accident is why the second accident happened. I acted a fool, man. I acted a fool in front of my son. In front of my son, I said crazy shit. Like, I hate myself. I'm going to kill myself. Like, later when we talked about it, he's like, all right, did you mean all that stuff you said? And I was like, of course not. Of course not. I was mad at myself. And I didn't know how to act. But he, as an 8-year-old, doesn't know how to act either. And the only way he's going to learn how to act is by watching people around him go through this shit. And when I went through the first accident and I was saying crazy shit like I hate myself and I'm going to kill myself, and I because I was disappointed. I am still disappointed. I'm still upset that I did that. But as an example, after the second accident, the first accident was a goddamn blessing. It was amazing. It was fucking amazing. My life never could have been better. My life never could have been more wonderful than the moment that I got in that first accident where nothing happened. Nobody was hurt. There was people around that didn't even know the accident happened because it was so nothing. But I acted like a little fucking bitch. I acted like a fucking idiot. And I showed my son that as you go through this unfortunate situation, you act like a little fucking bitch and you say you're going to give it all up. And so, 11 days later, I went through the next accident. And I realized that first accident was literally nothing. It was literally nothing whatsoever. It was nothing. Because the next one could have dismembered me. The next one could have made me unable to use my limbs. It could have made me unable to walk. And I'm certain, the way I've reviewed it in my head, that I was given the second accident because of how much I failed to react properly to the first accident. And now I just feel blessed. Now I just feel some amazing luck and fortune. Some amazing... I haven't worked out yet. I haven't, actually. I said I was going to, and I haven't. I stopped. The morning of the second accident was the last time that I exercised. Like seriously, like real seriously. I've done nothing but, what I consider real exercise. It's been But I think I'm going to be okay. And I think it was for me to understand that the first thing was like dirt on my shoulder, you know what I mean? That's dumb, but you get it. I just hope if you're dealt with someone I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy, but that's the truth, man. The truth is I was dealt with what seemed like unfortunate situation. I was dealt with some unfortunate situation, but if I would have put it in perspective of the grand scheme, it was nothing. It was nothing at all. And because I didn't, the universe, the world, God, whatever you want to say, it put it in perspective for me. It said, "Oh, you don't value how minor that was. You don't value how little impact that truly has on your life. Here's how it could have went. Here's what could have happened." And then, you're feeling lucky to be alive. I'm feeling lucky to walk. It's like, that's why I guess I don't want to say there's a lesson to be learned, but like I said before, I don't even personally think that it's possible. I think it's more likely, if you're like me and you're stubborn, you'll hear me talk and you'll hear me say what I learned from my lesson, but it'll still take you going through it yourself for you to learn it. That's how I am. If you're anything like me, that's how it'll be. You'll hear me go through this and you'll be like, God, what an idiot. He is fucking dumb. And then it'll take you going through it yourself. That's how it is for me. I listen to people go through shit and I'm like, God, they're so dumb. I'd never put myself in that position. I'll never put myself in that position. I didn't think I would ever get in a car accident. It's so crazy how it happens, man. It's like, it's so immediate. It's so immediate. Immediately everything's changed. Immediately all the things that you cared about or you thought were important were just put into perspective. Well, tell me about if you have any good experiences where you learned a lesson. Feel free to comment on the bottom. This is a good time to subscribe if you'd like to. You can do that in the bottom right-hand corner of the video. Otherwise, send us an email. We could share it on the podcast next time. It's ethanyoungpodcast@gmail.com. But just send us an email, and we'd be happy to, as always, by we, I mean my ass, I'd be happy to read it on the next show and to review it prior to. What's funny? The first thing that I was thinking about is not funny. The second thing that I thought about, which I was going to share first, is not funny. I saw that this is not funny. They needed $750 billion to rebuild Ukraine. And that was at the beginning of July. So at the beginning of July, before whatever damage Putin and his soldiers have been able to do throughout July, up until now, the amount of damage that was done to rebuild properly was $750 billion. On top of that, I saw that we sent like another, which if you think, this is like where relativity makes such a big difference, but like I think we sent just recently another like 700 million, where it's like 700 million is an insane amount of money. I don't know why I'm whispering. $700 million is so much goddamn money. I can't even fathom it. My life and my family's life would be changed for decades if I had $700 million. And that's how much after the $40 billion that we sent, we just sent them for like rockets and shit like that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's amazing. It's amazing how we use these numbers as if they're just nothing. But that dumb term, which I don't particularly like, is it's just a drop in a bucket. But compared to the 750 billion they need to rebuild at the beginning of July, who knows how much damage has been increased since then. $700 million in rockets is nothing, but that's where it's like, it's also fucked up. The thing that I thought was funny, dude, the other day, I'm sitting at a gas pump, right? I spent a lot of time at gas pumps. Gas is fucked. It's so goddamn expensive. It hasn't been that expensive since I was in high school. Fortunately, because it was nearly this expensive when I first got my license, it's not like I never thought this was coming again. That's a fortunate thing. The unfortunate thing is that the fucking gas costs some ridiculous amount. However, the other day, I'm standing across from some guy, so the guy on the other side of the gas pump is fucking swearing and screaming. What the fuck does that solve? Like, I didn't feel uncomfortable because I was thinking, like, Jesus Christ, can you imagine how bad your day is? Can you imagine how bad your life is? Can you imagine how bad your experience is if you're screaming cuss words at a gas pump? Like, I guess nice that he's not taking it out at the fucking cashier inside, but he's screaming at a gas pump. Like, this is an inanimate object, which I'm guessing has no consciousness. I'm guessing the gas pump carries no consciousness. Even if it did, it doesn't do him any goddamn good to scream at it. You know what I mean? Like, this man is, and I was just thinking, like, I guess, again, it's so dumb to say. I guess this is the fucking gratitude episode. I guess I'm so lucky to realize that if I scream at the gas pump while I fill up, it doesn't make any difference. I don't get any money back. My paycheck doesn't change. You know what I mean? I guess that guy would be happier if his paycheck was larger, you would think, because less a percentage of his money and income is going towards gasoline, right? If he's dissatisfied now, but he drives a car and fills it up with gasoline, at one time, he was okay with the idea of driving a car. At one time, he was okay with the idea of using non-leaded ethanol gasoline. Now, he's decided that that proposition has exceeded his expectations. It has become negative on his end. But does screaming at the gas pump change anything? You know, I'm not trying to be the uppity shithead. Like, I know I always feel like a shithead when I'm saying something where it's like, I'm not trying to be virtuous. I'm just saying, like, in some ways, I guess somehow I'm lucky because I realize that negative situation that we're all experiencing right now. Like, when they fucking sold me my car, I remember him asking me, hey, do you want all-wheel drive or do you want two-wheel drive? And he explained gas mileage, and I thought, no idea what gas is going to do whatsoever. But based on how it was when I first got my license when I was in high school, it went up. And nobody saw that coming. I don't want to be in a car that fucking guzzles gas. I don't want to be in a gas guzzler. I don't want to be in a fucking four-wheel drive gigantic truck when it's just a sunny day and you don't need all that wheel. You know what I mean? I don't know why I said it like that. It sounded dumb when I said it like that. But my point is, like, I don't want to waste that money if I don't need it. And so I didn't. And it was fucking thank God with what happened to gas. But, like, that guy thought that his proposition was good at one time, and now he thinks he's going to change. You know what I mean? Like, I guess maybe it's just nice to blow off steam sometimes, right? Like, maybe it's just good, even though you know that screaming cuss words at a gas pump does nothing for you. Maybe it feels nice to just, like, vent a little bit. I don't know. I guess something I found to be grateful. Hopefully you guys can feel the same gratitude that I was able to. Jesus. I'm trying to sign into my phone, and I actually did that emergency thing. It's like, emergency? Emergency? SOS? No. I was thinking of something totally dumb, but I almost don't want to share it right now. They're doing so little about the homeless problem. I mean, like, it almost seems like the entire thing is a charade. In our town, they did just recently initiate a camping ban, so hopefully that will help in the sense that, like, some area that I actually used to work next to, and there was one homeless guy there, and he was a lunatic, and I tried to just be really nice to him because I was like, He's out there 24/7. If I do something wrong to him, I can't supervise my shit 24/7. And I worked there like 12 hours a day. You know what I mean? I was like, if he wants to fuck up my shit, he can fuck up my shit. And he has way more time and energy than I do. So I was really nice to him. But that particular area in our town became just a fucking camp, like a homeless camp. Gigantic tents and lots of them and many. And so it's become an issue, and they just recently initiated a camping ban. But oftentimes it just seems like what they're doing is so minor or so little. I did notice in Denver when me and my son went, it was last summer, so it's been about a year now. Like, say we went to a Rockies game in the beginning of the year, and there was homeless people on our entire walk back to our car, and then we went on a Rockies game at the end of the year. No tents, no homeless people. So like our entire walk back through downtown after Coors Field had been literally completely cleaned up. I don't know if they've been as lucky in our town, but sometimes it just seems like they're just like throwing, I don't know, like just throwing shit at a wall, hoping it'll stick, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? It seems like the next thing that they're going to introduce is be like, okay, I think that the real negativity that's been revolving around this group has been related to the terminology that we've been using. And they're going to be like, instead of homeless, what if we called them HomeMORE? Don't you think if we just quit instituting the negative terminology, they would be able to prosper in a way that we haven't allowed them to by putting them down? And it's just like we're just going to constantly keep seeing these negative fucking responses that don't actually do anything, but they allow people to seem virtuous and make no difference whatsoever. Yeah, hopefully that's not it. I don't know. That's what I saw. You know, one of the things that I saw here recently that I was way late on the party, maybe I just late on the party or what they've been doing. Dude, I'm like 15 years late on Drake. So whatever the fuck people realized, like in the early 2000s, I just picked up about Drake. I had no idea how badass he was. I some of the fucking, like, I just would never allow myself to get to that point in the song before. Like, I'd be like, so, you know, like, fuck Drake, I don't like Drake. To be honest, I did the same thing with Wheezy. I did the same thing with Lil Wayne when he first came out in the early 2000s. I was like, nah, I don't like him. I only like Eminem. I only like Dr. Dre. And then, like, now, I listen to Lil Wayne all the time, and he's fucking amazing. Well, because I listen to Lil Wayne, I'm also starting to listen more to Drake. Fucking amazing. I mean, some of them, what I was trying to say is I never would allow myself to get to the middle of these songs. Like, not even the opening fucking rhyme, not even the opening fucking headline, like line of the song. It'll be like in the middle, and he's just ripping the fucking song apart. And you're just like, especially if you're working out or something, you hear this music, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, this motherfucker is so bad. It gives you fucking chills, and you feel like a bad motherfucker. And I'm like 15 years late on this guy. I'm like 15 years late on Drake. Like, I think there's like one song that I like from like the Pregnant Dudes album. I don't know what it's called. It's the one with all the pregnant dudes on it. Probably so wrong that I said that. My son, still playing. Still going hard in there but probably with his cousin, with my nephew. All right. We got a few more things we'll discuss. I'm going to fucking put this out. Maybe sit up a little straighter in my chair so I stop looking like such a little fucking bitch. My poor posture. My shitty ass posture. Alright, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Just for a few. I just spoke with my mom for like 96 minutes on the fucking phone in the break. And so I've been trying to get back here. Unfortunately, it hasn't been that easy. There's just a few things that I wanted to bring up with you. I have never personally flown over water. I have always traveled somewhere that's basically within the domestic United States, and therefore anytime I've been traveling, it's always like, you know, fields and clouds and all that normal shit that you see. One thing that I was wondering is, like, do people, because like you have to at least consider it, right? Like, granted, it's very rare that a plane will fall out of the sky, right? But if you're flying over water, you have to at least consider the fact that you may crash, right? And then, like, do you in your suitcase pack any items that you believe you may need should your plane crash in the water? You know what I mean? Like in your carry-on, or maybe even in your stowaway, in one of your bags, do you put like a fucking inflatable raft? Like, do you put like a Tomahawk in your fucking suitcase that you put under the plane just in case? Like, because I figure if I crash over the land, I'm just going to die. The plane's going to explode, or if we all live, we're on land. You know what I mean? But if you die out in the middle of the ocean, like if you happen to come to some deserted island, like Castaway style, you would pray that you had some sort of tools, right? And even he, in that movie, the things that he used were from the packages that were on the plane, like the ice skates. He used the ice skates as like his axe, for instance. So I wonder, like, do people fucking, do they, you know what I mean? Does somebody have a survival kit that they use as, like, if you have a gigantic fucking carry-on, or a gigantic, what's that, checked bag? If you have a gigantic checked bag and maybe just like 1/10 or 1/8 of it could be filled with some sort of survival gear, do you just bring the survival gear just in case? It's like you pray to God you won't have to use it. But if the fucking plane goes down, you're going to be somewhere near the plane, right? Like pretty likely if the plane crashes and you survive, you're going to be somewhere near where the plane went down. So do you pack like a survival pack in your, you know what I mean, in your checked bag, or maybe even in your, obviously your carry-on would be much more limited in the sense that, of course, you couldn't bring as many liquids, but I think the amount of liquids that you bring would be, not significant over a long period of time for survival. But the tools, that could be very significant, because that could determine all of the things that you were capable of during that time. So I just wonder, like, I don't know. Does anybody ever do that? Is anybody ever that paranoid? I've never traveled over water, but I wonder. Another thing is I've noticed, like, the people that do travel over water, frequently they'll visit. I have hiccups, and it's absolutely unbearable. I'm hoping they're just going to go away. And I could talk about one more thing and then we'll go. One thing that I was considering, you know how sloths move so fucking slow? Like, what if they're capable of seeing, like, a number of more realms than we're capable of seeing? And so the reason that they're moving so slow is because they're actually maneuvering through all these realms that we're not even capable of seeing. I hate that I have hiccups right now. It's disgusting. And I was just wondering if anybody else thinks that there's a possibility that a sloth's life is basically like you're constantly on a heroic dose of acid. Let me know what you think. I got to get rid of these hiccups, so I got to go. But I love you, and I appreciate you. Subscribe, like the video, rate, review. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.